you've been. Oh, where do we go?
Hey everybody. Long time. Let's get into it though. It wasn't an intentional break. Honestly, sometimes you just look up and time has gotten away from you. I tried to record in February and I recorded two, and for whatever reason they did not come out correct, and I was so upset. And I just kind of just sat everything down for a minute because I was just over it at that point. I was so upset that it didn't record, but here I am. And so much is going on, but at the same time, nothing. Let's start with the boys. So, there's a situation that has transpired with my oldest. I've told you guys I'm gonna be as transparent as possible during all of this. But right now, I cannot speak on that. But it's been very big, and it's taken up a lot of my energy with it. And my youngest, both my sons had birthdays since the last time we spoke. So I have a 4-year old and a 2-year old, which is wild to even think about. And then I think about, like, I would have also had a baby right now, which is wild to even think that I would have been, like, I don't think I would have been capable of managing 3 little people. Because my kids right now are a mess. Like, my 2-year old is this bold little person. He bothers his brother, like, on purpose. He's like, no. Like, he demands what he wants to watch on TV. Like, he's like, demands my food. Like, he wants what I'm eating and he can't. Like, he's a wild. It's so crazy just to see him. And he's just like his own little person, and then he just adores his big brother, and it is so sweet. Like, he just wants to run behind his big brother, and a lot of his personality traits, like, you can tell, like, he's just like, oh well, my big brother did it, so I'm gonna do it. And that's just kind of how he is. Like, well, I mean, my big brother did it. So that's my youngest, and my 4-year old is a big ball of energy, and at the same time he's social, but at the same time, like, he don't want to deal with people. He is so me. Like, he is just a little man, and he spent some time with my mom so far this summer, and he just likes to ride around with her, taking my brother and sister back and forth to work, going to the Dollar General, going to Five Below, and just hanging out with his grandma and watching YouTube. Like, he's a mess too. Like, oh, I have, like, it's crazy because I feel like I have 2 only children, how they act sometimes. And they're closer in age. Like, my sister has 3 only children, but mine are, I felt like, close enough in age that they would, kind of have a cohesion. But my mom just said that's just kind of how it is when they're this young. So we'll see. So they're doing good. My husband is doing well. He will be home soon, and that is giving me, like, a ball of nerves. Like, I know it won't just go back to, like, life before him leaving, but hopefully we can, like, get into a stride of new normal. I've given gentle suggestions of, like, maybe seeing a therapist, and then we're able to kind of get into therapy together. I think that would just help with stuff that wasn't on the up and up fully before he left, and I just don't want it to arise as, like, bigger issues. So it's something. I don't know. We're looking into that. But we're just wanting to get our ducks in a row with him coming home, and him adjusting to being back, and the boys adjusting to him, and me adjusting to him and all of us together, and just his family and our families, and just everything. Because I think it's gonna be different, and especially because like I've been real, just like alone. I've realized that my husband has been the glue when it comes to my in laws for the most part. I do have some that I speak to, on a more regular basis, but as a whole, my husband was that glue, which I feel like is understandable. It's his family. And so it's going to be an adjustment with the kids, even. COVID kind of, pulled us away from one another as well. And so it's just kind of been life. So getting back into all of that is going to be different. And with my family, they just miss him so much. My nephew, my sister expressed that he was crying and like wanting to know when his uncle was coming back, and like, can he go and get him from the airport? Like, him being gone was really big, not just for our kids, but for like my nieces and nephews as well, because they miss their uncle. He's a very active, not just father, but uncle and friend. And, you know, I know that he's had to deal with a lot of who was there versus who wasn't, kind of a thing. And so I'm just trying to, be supportive as I can when it comes to that journey, because that's a journey as well, but I'm just happy that he'll be home soon and we can figure all that out. It's hard to live in the now when you want the future to be here. But that is something that I am working on, is being in the now, like sitting in the presence. It's always been hard for me. I've always been a futuristic person, like what's next, what's next. Because I've always like, okay, I have a goal that I got to get to. I have something that I have to achieve. And so I have to get there, not looking at what's going on, right now, and neglecting the past, just moving forward. And sometimes you can't neglect the past, and you damn sure can't neglect the present, which I've learned with my sons, because they're right here in the present. They don't see what I see and looking in the future. So they're in the now. And so I think I'm just trying to practice that more and be present with them, for them, because when you're stressed out, it's really hard. It's really easy to check out. And I don't want that to continue to be our thing. It's summertime, and I just want them to have some fun. And I'm trying to get past my anxiety. And where did we go? We've been to the grocery store. I've taken them to the grocery store with just myself. We've gone through a couple of drive-throughs. My oldest, we're doing this whole full potty train thing, and he actually in the car told me he had to pee. And I was in White Castle's parking lot the other day, not in parking lot, in the drive-through in park, over the seat, helping my son pee in a cup. Like, it's real. It is real. So, that's it's been a journey getting me out of the house. I wouldn't say it's the extent of agoraphobia, because I do leave my house for work, and I do take, them to school and daycare and such. And we go to my sister's house, but that's it. But if we're just looking at plain leaving your house, leaving your house, does that prevent you from doing things, or having, does that prevent you from doing certain stuff? It does. So I'm working on that. And I know my husband, he'll be able to do those things with me more. But it's a skill that I have to learn on my own. So I'm learning it. And I just want to be able to just be confident outside of being whatever it is that I'm considered, outside of being a wife or a mother or a social worker. I want to just be confidently me, and I'm working on that. So as I'm moving into, my birthday coming up in a couple of months, that's kind of going to be, I'm figuring out, me and what I like, and what I can like, and what I want to do more of, what I want to do less of, and that's kind of where I am. Um, Speaking of social work, I have not said this, so you guys might hear this before a lot of other people. So if you've made it to this 10-minute mark, thank you. Let me see. I don't know. I will be putting in my resignation at my job here soon. Um, I mean, let's get into it. There's a lot that I will endure when it comes to it, to employment, which is not necessarily a good thing. Um, Being overworked, underpaid, those kind of things. I've kind of felt like they slow strolled me because I had so much going on in the beginning of, me being there. And I've only been in my job for a little over a year. So I think that, um, I don't know, it was an experience, but I think it was a stepping stone for me. So I'll be back to tell you guys how that goes with letting them know that I'm out of there. But the icing on the cake was just learning that, people in my work circle were talking mess about me to other people, and I'm not a confrontational person when it comes to certain realms of my life because I am so comfortable in conflict that it could be dangerous. Like, I'm not a person that's gonna like cuss, fuss, and fight, but I'm okay with confronting people on stuff. But when it comes to work, I'm like, if I'm that person, then I'm messing around and get fired. I'm messing around. Somebody gonna wanna, fight me at work because of, how I approach things. So I just try to, it's one of those, I shut down. That is my trauma response when it comes to certain arenas. I just shut down. Like when I'm talking to my husband, and I tell my therapist all the time, like, oh, I just wish I could say X, Y, and Z. And she's like, say it. And I'm like, nope, I just shut down. Because I don't want to go there with him. Certain stuff, I just don't want to go there with him. And I don't know a healthy way to say stuff. I'm working on that. So I shut down. And so that's how I am at work. But somebody brought me some information that they wouldn't have known without talking to this person. And, the person was like, I felt very uncomfortable being told this information, but I just want you to know that somebody is saying these things. And I mean, the information wasn't incorrect, but it was misinterpreted. And so I, quote unquote, set the record straight. Like, I told her, like, why things were that what they were. But it was an eye opener, like, dang, is this how y'all feel about me? And what I also wasn't a fan of is that if somebody can say that to somebody, to potentially taint the workplace, I want to be there when the black dye is being poured in everybody's cup. Because this person who brought the information to me could have easily just been like, oh, really? That's how she is, and took it and ran with it, and then that could have started something very toxic. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she has a very different way of thinking. Um, and she was like, but why would she bring that information to you? Like, I felt like that was like starting shit, because why do it matter? And for me, it wasn't that she was starting shit. Like, the person genuinely felt uncomfortable about it. So they brought it to me. And she was like, over and over, like, you don't have to explain anything, you have to say anything. But I felt like, no, I'm about to say something. Because I don't want nobody just, saying things about me and leaving it there. So I want people to be able to form their own opinions of me. And what's so crazy is that person who was talking mess is a person who I always say, well, I don't follow this or that. And, I throw my own opinions, but here you are trying to form someone else's opinion of me. So that was just really sour grapes for me. I did things at work that I thought were going to put me in a different position. And I'm not necessarily a microwave person thinking, oh, well, this needs to happen now. But how things were done, it was just no communication. There was a lack of communication from management that just made me feel like I was just putting myself out there for no reason. And so I just started putting in applications, and it happened quickly. The interview was like late. It was after work, and I rushed, and I got there on time. I was not early, so I was late. And I was met by the person who will be over me, because I'm not gonna give y'all details just yet on where I'm gonna be, but they met me in like the lobby and took me into a room where there were two other folks for a panel. Don't y'all know I still have my scarf on? You know how you just want to like lay the rest of your little hairs down, try to put a little gel or edge control or a little grease water, whatever styling products, mousse spritz, whatever. Just try to slick that ponytail down a little bit. I still have my scarf on, y'all. I didn't even know it. So she saw me with the scarf on, and don't y'all know I snatched it up as I was coming in the room and stuffed it in my pocket. That was the start of the interview. I made up a whole answer, and I couldn't even tell y'all what the question was. But I didn't know I didn't understand the question, but I made up an answer. And so yeah, I left there like, that was horrible. They told me they had other folks to interview. This was it was very early in the week, and that they would be, be in touch, are my references up to date? I said, yeah. Don't y'all know? Okay, I don't know. Should I? Okay, I'm gonna just tell you. So they did not call my references. They called my past supervisors. And one of my past supervisors is now very high in the organization that I work with now. She sent me an email like, I got a reference check. What is this about? And the email came to me. I was not in the office. I do a different assignment on a day at work, so I'm not in the office. I saw the email and I didn't read it. I didn't email her back until later when I was in the office, and I was like, we can talk about it. But she had to leave, and so the next day, that afternoon, very late afternoon, almost after work, we had a phone call. But I don't know. At first I was just gonna be like, well, I'm looking and that's it. I even called my therapist like, Lord, let me tell you what just happened. How do I confront this? And she was just like, look, how do you want to talk about it? Do you want to be very matter of factly, just give it very basics, or do you want to go into it like, well, let's talk? And I was like, I'm just gonna be very basic and matter of factly, but then I just jabber when I'm kind of wired and nervous, and so I jabbered. But I just had to tell her like, I don't really feel that valued here, and I thought that things would be a little different. And she was like, well, I was trying to work on this and that, and I'm like, well, you never communicated that with me, and I'm just really big on communication, even if it's like, hey, I don't know, give me a minute. I'm fine with that versus silence. And she said she wished she would have knew, that I was gonna start looking. And I said, what would have changed, She really couldn't give me a direct answer. So, we chopped it up, but by then had already gotten my, we like you, we want you to come aboard. You'll receive your official offer from HR. And I did, and I'm very blessed. We'll talk about the new job and everything in this transition period a little later. But I'm very blessed with this new position. Um, and I'm really excited. The only thing is I have to wait. I have over a month before I start. And I've already known about my new position. I've accepted it almost a month ago. So it's been a while to hold together and not tell my job, but I'm going to tell them next week. So that will be its own episode, and I can kind of give you a little bit more information on my new position and everything, I guess, a little later in the next month. But yeah, so I am just in transition. There's a lot of transitions going on right now, and I'm just feeling wow, like it's crazy. It is just a lot going on. But I am thankful for these transitions. So I am going to just pause in the transitions and just be okay in it, because I'm not ever, and that's usually not my style. But I'm going to do so, and we'll see how it goes. But I am, moving through things purposefully and trying to sit still purposefully as well. Not as a punishment. I think that sometimes people think that sitting down is a punishment. But, as a time to reflect, a time to just be grounded with my children and in my just arena. So that's what I'm doing right now, y'all. I'll give y'all more information later, but I just wanted to come and give you guys just a little snippet of some things. I still think that I may go into the stuff that I was going to talk about in one of my podcasts that ended up messing up. And that's when I just talked about I would have had a baby right now. And so, yeah, that may be, that still may happen. Yeah. So, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all for just being here. Thank you for, choosing purpose today and every day, even when it's hard. So I will talk to you all later. Of course, if you guys need me, reach out in any way you feel necessary. But I will talk to you all later. Bye.
In the darkest hour, I wanna come for you. I know you've been